Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming today. We're going to be talking about managed rules for AWS WAF. You're probably here because you've seen our launch announcement of this new feature. And so what we want to do in this session today is kind of take you through some of the key aspects of this exciting new development for AWS WAF. So first, we'll give just a very brief intro to AWS WAF for those of you who are not already familiar with it. And then we'll talk about the new feature that we launched actually yesterday, some of its key benefits, and most importantly, how to get started with it. My name is Andrew Thomas. I'm the General Manager for AWS Shield and WAF. I have a co-presenter today, Sundar Jayashekhar. He is the Senior Product Manager for AWS WAF. So by way of a very brief introduction, just in case there's anyone not familiar with what a WAF is, WAF stands for Web Application Firewall. And a web application firewall is simply a layer of a proxy layer that you put in front of your web application to monitor HTTP or HTTPS requests and to essentially separate through a series of filters the good traffic from the bad traffic and prevent malicious requests from hitting your web application either for purposes of stealing content or trying to do SQL injection attacks, those types of threats, or also just floods where there may be denial of service attacks. So again, it's for layer 7 inspection and mitigation. So what is the AWS WAF? AWS WAF is a fully managed web application firewall that runs on the AWS infrastructure. And it protects, as most WAFs do, against things like malicious requests. So again, things like SQL injection, cross-site scripting. It also will do sophisticated web traffic filtering. And you're able to create custom rules that will look at all kinds of different attributes of a request. Again, so that you can separate the good traffic from the bad traffic. These can include things like IP and geomatch filters, regular expressions for very complex expressions, size constraints, etc. And then also you can, through active monitoring, you can take action with the AWS WAF. So you have access to CloudWatch metrics and alarms, sampled logs, etc. And you can programmatically, through the API for AWS WAF, go and update your rules in response to these threats in near real time. So AWS WAF is helpful against a number of potential threats. Those include DDoS attacks, so simple kind of HTTP floods that are trying to overwhelm your application infrastructure and keep legitimate users from being able to access that application. There are also the application attacks that we've talked about already. Again, things like SQL injection, social engineering attacks, etc. And then also bad bots. So these are typically out to scrape content from your website. Maybe it's prices, maybe it's other types of content. They may also be scanners or probes that are looking for security weaknesses. So again, AWS WAF can be effective against all of these types of threats. And I want to give you a sense of kind of why we launched AWS WAF to begin with, and then out of this, give you some context for this new managed rules release. So what we heard from customers several years ago, before we launched AWS WAF, and that was actually 2 years ago at reInvent in 2015. We had customers coming to us and telling us, you know, hey, we like a lot of the WAF solutions that are available on AWS, many of them provided by vendors who provide AMI-based types of solutions. But there are some challenges that we're facing, and among those are, hey, we don't really want to have to manage that infrastructure ourselves. You know, we would like to just be able to turn on a web application firewall and at least from the infrastructure management's perspective, kind of forget about it. Just have it there, have it running, know that it's going to scale as our application scales. The next was they were saying, hey, you know, there's I want it to be affordable. And in particular, it'd be great if I could have it on kind of a pay-as-you-go sort of a basis, like my other AWS services, right? So something that I can turn on and off when and where I need it, and also have the cost during those times where I'm using it be reasonable. Also, customers were looking for the type of API support that you get with full AWS managed services, so that you can kind of in a DevOps type of approach, take these sorts of real-time responses to threats and update them via the APIs to keep your rules up to date. And lastly, of course, customers wanted all of this to be easy to deploy. So we launched AWS WAF again in 2015. And when we initially launched, we announced protection for workloads running on Amazon CloudFront. And then, of course, we got feedback from customers saying that, hey, for various reasons, sometimes, maybe CloudFront isn't the right choice of endpoint for you. You actually wanted to be serving your application out of a region. And so last year at reInvent, we announced support for application load balancer. And so these are the two services where, again, if you're running a web application on AWS, and you can expose it through either an application load balancer or a CloudFront endpoint, you can use AWS WAF. And so we released WAF, and in response to the customer input, and customers came back to us and told us, hey, there are things we really like about what you have done. First, we do like that you made it really easy to deploy. All we have to do is go into the AWS console, click a button, and we have WAF protection. They also like the fact that we have very fast, we give you the capability to have very fast incident response. So one of the things that we did when we built WAF is we said, we want changes that customers make in the control plane, in the console, to propagate very quickly out to our global network. And so changes that you make in your rule configurations propagate globally in under 1 minute, regardless of whether you're using CloudFront or application load balancer. Another thing that people said they liked was the powerful and flexible rule language. And this is really important because the threats can be quite sophisticated, and you need a rich kind of set of tools in order to be able to really separate the bad traffic from the good. And we made additional investments in this area. Earlier this year, we announced support for regular expression conditions. So now you can go in and create quite sophisticated expressions in order to do this filtering. Customers also said they like the security automation. They like the fact that AWS WAF is a first-class AWS service with full APIs, so anything you can do in the console, you can do through APIs, which really assists with the ability to create automation. So a simple example of this might be you have a process that's processing logs or kicking in other signals from requests coming into your application, and you identify certain IP addresses, for example, that you want to block. Well, you can programmatically go through and create a closed loop using something like a Lambda function to call the WAF APIs and update your rules to filter out those bad IP addresses. They also like the fact that it was affordable. If you turn on WAF and you enable it on a resource and you leave it running for the entire month, it's quite affordable. But you also have the pay-as-you-go option, which is to kind of turn on those protections when you feel like you need them and turn them off when you don't. And then lastly, they told us that they liked some of the pre-configured protections that we were providing. So there were CloudFormation templates that are available. And those are things that you can run to basically pre-create certain rule sets for blocking some common types of attacks. But at the same time, we knew that there was more that we could do in this area of providing sort of managed protections. It's one thing to have the WAF as a managed service, but customers also want the support of managed protections within that service. And so that's why we're here today, is to really focus on this release of managed rules for AWS WAF. And so, again, the challenges that we were hearing from customers were things like, hey, it's great that you have this service for me, but I want to focus on building my web application. I don't want to focus on writing these rules. It's also, hey, I don't have the staff to do this. I don't have the expertise. I'm not a security expert. Is there a way you can help me with this? And then also, hey, I know that I need help with my rules, but professional services can be really expensive. When you go to a third party and you say, hey, I want support doing this. So earlier today, or actually yesterday, we announced managed rules for AWS WAF. And a really exciting component of this is that we've partnered with 5 security sellers, folks that have been active and are very highly respected in the security space. And those sellers have come together in the AWS Marketplace to provide 11 different security products. These are rule sets that you can apply via AWS WAF to protect your applications. And so with that, we're excited to present to you, who these 5 sellers are. And again, these are names you've heard of, right? Imperva, Trend Micro, Alert Logic, Fortinet, and Trustwave. And we expect that more will be coming in the near future. So again, very trusted names in security, folks that I think you can have a lot of confidence in their expertise, both to write these rules, but also to maintain these rules. And so again, what are seller managed rules? They're rules that are written by these security providers and are made available to you in the AWS Marketplace. And importantly, they are deployed on AWS WAF. So there's no AMIs to manage, there's no infrastructure you have to worry about. All you have to do is enable AWS WAF for your application, and then go to the Marketplace, enable one of these seller rule sets, apply those to your web ACLs that you use to protect resources in WAF, and you're done. But to take us through some of these benefits in more detail, I'd like to invite Sundar up to walk you through that and also to show you a demo of all of this in action.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So one common theme that you've seen in most AWS services and across the board is we listen to the customers. So you saw that theme with the reasons why we put out our own AWS WAF instead of other WAF solutions being there. Once we launched WAF a couple of years ago, we launched it on CloudFront, and then customers said they wanted it on the load balancers, and we went ahead and released WAF on load balancers as well. So we didn't stop there. So we constantly have customer conversations, and one of the themes that's constantly come up over the past year or so is, hey, it's a great platform. I like the flexible as well as the powerful rule language that you've provided. But we also need some checkbox solutions. Give us some solutions where we don't have to worry about rules. We don't have to staff our security engineering teams, so on and so forth. So we're really excited with the launch yesterday that we are able to provide this to you. So with the managed platforms such as AWS WAF, along with managed rules that are not only written for you, but also updated and curated for you, we believe it's a very powerful and viable solution in terms of having an end-to-end managed solution, both in terms of a platform as well as the rules. So let's go through, so with this launch, let's go through and understand what the key benefits are. The first and foremost is these are rules from security experts. So we were very cognizant and very deliberate in terms of the vendors that we chose for these rules. We wanted to make sure these are industry experts who've been in the industry for several years. Some of them have been around several decades as well. So they know how to write rules. So we were very mindful of that. So with the security experts writing the rules, now you don't have to staff up your teams to write those rules. you have less dependency in writing your own custom rules. Now, for the first time, you can actually focus on writing the web applications. You can focus on writing the business applications. You can focus on, hey, what does my customer, in this case, the customers of managed roles, what do they need? So even though security is extremely important, in fact, it's the #1 important thing for AWS, it's also important for the end customer, but it's still an undifferentiated heavy lifter. So we've taken that away from you so that you can focus on the most important thing for your customers. Secondly, the choice of protections. So as Andy was mentioning, we have 5 sellers as of today. And with those 5 trusted names, we have 11 products. And we will be going through in detail what those 11 products are and what use cases they cover. With this wide variety of products from day one, I think there is a solution for every one of you. We have products for Apache workloads, PHP workloads. As you will see in the future slides, we have products for content management systems. It could be WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, so on and so forth. If you're interested in botnet protections, we have rules for that as well. We have reputational lists provided by some of the sellers. So we're constantly adding to this. So we're working with other big names as well. So stay tuned. So you will see us launch more products with existing sellers as well as new well-known names as well. So this one is my favorite. So auto updates. So it's not enough for you to purchase a rule one time. You need to keep it updated. Because guess what? The bad guys are constantly innovating in terms of changing the attack vectors. The SQLi, for example, the SQLi attacks that used to exist 5 years ago, they look completely different from what happens today. So if you don't keep the rules updated, those rules become outdated and irrelevant. So it's extremely important. So this benefit is extremely important in keeping those rules updated. So these security sellers have teams that they've staffed up with threat researchers and security engineers and software developers that not only monitor, tune, but they constantly understand the attack vectors and keep those rules updated. So these rules are available to you once you subscribe to this managed service automatically. You don't pay anything extra. So updates come for free. We've taken this one step further. So once the seller updates the rules, these rules are applied across your global assets as a subscriber within minutes. I mean, think of Imperva taking one of the rules and saying, you know what, we're seeing an attack across the world. Let's update our rules. We know what the attack vector looks like. So to have that update deployed across all your load balancers, all your CloudFront distributions, within 2 to 3 minutes is incredible. This is from Imperva saying go to your load balancers getting those updates. So there's no point in getting those updates hours from now, days from now, weeks from now, which actually happens in some cases. You'll get it within 2 to 3 minutes. And we are incredibly happy about that capability. So pay as you go. So this is nothing new. AWS services, in general, you only pay for what you use. So we've tried to keep the same concept here as well. First of all, it's affordable. Once we go through pricing, you'll understand it's a very affordable service. And the pricing dimension, and Andy will be covering this in the slides, is very similar to the pricing dimensions of AWS WAF. There's a flat monthly fee as well as a request volume-based fee. Once you enable, to be able to use this, you don't need any contracts. There are no contracts involved. You don't need any expensive pro-serve engagements because what we've tried to do here with these rules is to keep them very generic and high fidelity. So these rules are focused on giving you a protection with extremely low false positives. And so thereby you don't have to worry about false positives. Obviously, if it doesn't work with any pay-as-you-go model, you should be able to unsubscribe very easily. And in my demo, I will show you how to unsubscribe as well. If, for example, some of the applications are very specific, they've coded a certain way, generic rules may not help. Maybe there are some false positives. In such scenarios, you can always go and unsubscribe as well. Easy to deploy, this is a common theme. We want services to be easily deployable. whether using the console or if you're using APIs to do this automated fashion, is extremely easy to deploy. The fact that these rules are written by sellers using the public APIs that's available to everybody tells you that all these rules are 100% native to the AWS WAF. Even though the rules are coming from sellers, they've actually transformed those rules to AWS WAF language. So it's written in a native format. So the fact that the managed rules run on a very managed platform makes it an extremely low maintenance solution, both on the rule side as well as the platform side. Just quickly summarizing, it's solutions provided by security experts. You get a choice of protections. You get auto updates, pay-as-you-go model, as well as easy to deploy. So let's look at what easy to deploy really means. So I'm going to show you real quick. The fact that you can actually be up and running in a matter of minutes, if not seconds. So keep me honest, and maybe you can start a clock or something while I'm doing the demo. So we'll do a demo. And there are a few things I want to cover in the demo. So the deployment is 3 easy steps. The first one is how do you find the rules, the discovery, basically. So the rules can be found in 2 different ways. First one, since these are marketplace products, you can just go to marketplace and search for them. And we've also created a landing page in the marketplace domain where we've kind of displayed all of them in one nice, easy website where you can go and look and read about them. You can also find them, if you're already using AWS WAF, you can also find them on the console. And the user experience here is similar to if you were launching an EC2 and you're looking for armies. In the EC2 console, you see marketplace armies, and you can also deploy your own armies. So we wanted to keep the look and feel the same. So you will see that in this solution as well. So you can discover them marketplace, and you can discover them on the console itself. It literally takes 2 clicks for you to actually subscribe to these rules. Again, keep me honest and count while I do the demo. And once you've purchased it, we've done some back-end automation to make it really, really easy to deploy these rules. Once you've purchased it, these rules appear in your AWS WAF environment. The only thing that's remaining for you to get protected is to associate these rules. I keep saying rules, but it's really a set of rules. You can call them rule sets, rule groups, what have you. But every one of these products have tens, if not hundreds of rules within them. So once you associate them with the AWS WAF component called Web ACL, or Web Access Control List, you're good to go. 3 easy steps. Let's see how they look. So I'm going to do a quick demo here. First of all, let's just cover the discovery portion of it. So I told you there are 2 ways to find it on Marketplace itself. The first one is this beautiful landing page that the marketing team has created. It just helps you read a little more about what this feature is, and also all the featured sellers. There are 5 of them today. We're constantly working with a few others. In the coming days, you will see 2 more big names coming on this list very soon. And we continue to work with these existing products as well, to deploy more products. So let's just click on any one of them. Imperva, if you want to learn more, click on it, and it'll go directly to the marketplace listing. So I'm sure you're all familiar with how the listing pages look. This is no different than any marketplace product. So that's one way. You can go through the landing page. The other one is you can just go to a marketplace and search for managed rules AWS WAF. And this should give you all the 11 products that we're launching, that we launched as of yesterday. So you have 2 from Trustwave. I believe there are 2 from Imperva, 4 from Fortinet, 2 from Trend Micro. So we have all 11 and 1 from Alert Logic. So you can find them this way as well. So this, again, if you put it into a search engine and search for it, a lot of the products here are search engine optimized. You'll find them, discover them that way as well. So that's marketplace discovery. The second one, I also mentioned that you can actually discover these products on Marketplace console itself, just very similar to the EC2 Army experience. So what I'm showing you here is the AWS WAF management console If you log into it, this would be, and you log into it, and then you click on WAF and Shield. This will be the page that will appear. Let's go into AWS WAF. It's co-located with our other sister product, the AWS Shield, which is the premium DDoS protection service that we have that we launched last reInvent. So what's new about the console? Let's cover that first. This marketplace link here is what's new. This wasn't there before yesterday. So when you click on it, you have all the 11 products that we just saw on the marketplace listing appear here as well. So here, I just happen to have purchased Fortinet's managed rules just for illustration purposes. So what you have is what you've already purchased, and what you have below that is what's available for you to subscribe. So now we've covered discovery. We've seen how you can purchase in a marketplace. You've seen where to go on the console to purchase it. Now let's go ahead and actually purchase something and see how easy and quick it is. I'm going to just say, so we have OWASP Top 10 from Fortinet. Let's go ahead and purchase, I don't know, we'll do, I mean, you can pretty much do anything here. I don't know why I'm thinking so much. So let's go ahead and do Trend Micro. Let's do a content management system set of products here. I'm going to click on this. You can either do this here or go to the marketplace. It ultimately goes to the product page and listing. So if somebody's counting, keep me honest, number of clicks. First of all, you can read about the company. You can read about the product description. You can read about some additional resources and the marketing collaterals from the seller. You also have details on customer support in case you want to reach out to them regarding the rules. Refund policy, EULA, which is your end user licensing agreement between the seller and yourself as a subscriber, which is pretty standard for marketplace products. And most importantly, the pricing. In this case, the pricing just happens to be $5 per month for the rule group and 20 cents per million requests. So the same two dimensions on which WAF is priced. And these prices are determined by the seller itself. OK, so we're here. We'll hit continue. Just a few things for you to make sure and subscribe. That's just 2 clicks, and you're done. That took me literally 3 seconds. So the subscription is done at this point. You can come out of the screen. So let's go see if this shows up on the console. So we've automated this in the back end. So as soon as you finish the purchase, that particular product is available for you. Let's go ahead and refresh this marketplace listing. There it is. So we had Fortinet already existing there. The one that we just purchased was Trend Micro. Within seconds, it's already there for you. It's available for you to enable it. We've not enabled it for you. As you can remember, security is a shared responsibility. You still have to go enable it, and you have to assign it to the web ACL that you choose to do so. So as next steps, let's go ahead and look at how to enable the rules that we've just subscribed to. For the demonstration purposes, I've just picked a region. Let's say I've picked Tokyo. And I've already created a demo web ACL. Creation of a web ACL is extremely elementary. Many of you must have already done it, so I won't spend too much time on it. So here's a demo of web ACL. I just click on it, and on the right-hand pane, what you see is a graph which actually shows you the CloudWatch metrics. If there's traffic coming and it's actually being inspected and it matches the rules, you will see squiggly lines there. Right now, I don't have anything going through my ALB that's associated with this, so you'll see a blank screen. So what I really want to show you here is the rules. So this web ACL happens to have one rule inside it. I'm going to click Edit Web ACL here. And the reason I actually put in there a custom rule is to show you how you can use the custom rules in conjunction with the managed rules from the sellers. The managed rules for sellers, let's say you buy Fortinet's OWASP Top 10. There might still be use cases that may not be addressed by those rules. So you might have customization that might be needed. A good example would be you have a list of IPs that you know are malicious. You just want to add an IP block. And that's what my custom rule here is doing. I just have a simple IP block list that I've configured, which will be which will appear before the managed rules itself. So the purpose of this whole demo is to see how we can purchase and enable the rules. So when you click on select a role, you will see all the custom rules that you've written. I just happen to have 3 in my environment right now. And also the 2 purchased or subscribed managed rules. So let's go ahead and pick one of them. Let's pick, I like the OWASP rules because OWASP top 10 is one of the most popularly asked rule set. I'm going to go ahead and say add, and there you go. So now you not only have a managed rule group or rule set available for you, you also have it working in conjunction with your custom rule. All you have to do now is update. Then your WebACL has the tens and hundreds of rules from a Fortinet, as well as your one custom rule that you have configured. So before I click on update, there's a couple of things I want to talk about here. When you're writing your custom rule, you really have 3 rule actions. One is allow. If you're writing whitelisting rules, you would pick the action as allow. In this case, since it's an IP block, it's a blacklist, so you would say the action should be block. If the request actually matches that particular rule, you want to block that request, obviously. The count mode is our answer to learning mode. If you have a rule or set of rules, and you don't want to, you just want to understand how it works, and you want to only enable, let's say you're not comfortable enabling, so you put it into a count mode. So what count mode allows you to do is to get metrics and also understand the logs that you get because of those matches. The logs here are sample requests. They actually give you the raw request itself. That way you can feel comfortable, you can make sure the rule is working the way it's supposed to be working, and then you can toggle it to an allow or a block, depending on if it's a whitelist or a blacklist. So those are 3 actions available for custom rule writing. With managed rules, we have 2 different set of actions available. One is called no override, which is the default. What this really means is when you click, when no override is chosen, it defaults to the actions that's picked by the seller. Remember, these rule groups have hundreds of rules within them, and the seller has, obviously it'll mostly be blocks because these are negative signatures, but it'll default to all those rules, actions chosen by the seller for their rules. Let's say you've just purchased Fortinet and you really don't, you want to make sure it works the way it should work. You have the same capability as the count mode for custom rules. So you can click override to count, which means it will be in line to your traffic. You'll just won't block it. You will get the metrics. You'll get the telemetry to understand and make sure the rules are working the way you want to work. You get a chance to make sure there are no false positives. And once you feel comfortable, go back to the default no override. And this means it's enabled and it's in play. So that's the difference between the rule actions for a custom rule versus the new rule action types that we've introduced as part of managed rules. So I'm going to go click update. So at this point, the Fortinet rule is associated with your web ACL, web access control list. All the resources that are associated with your WebACL, in this case, I happen to have an application load balancer 1. That I've created for the demo purposes. So every request after this point that's flowing through that particular WebACL, millions, billions, trillions of requests, every one of them will be inspected by a custom rule first and the hundreds of rules within the Fortinet's product. And all this happens at extremely low latencies. Let's say you want to associate this WebACL with more load balancers. You can do that with a click of a button. Again, anything I do here can be done much more easily programmatically through APIs. I just so happen to have another demo ALB application load balancer. I'm going to associate it with just a click. So now you have both the ALB1 and ALB2 protected by the WebACL, which really means all the rules within the WebACL will be inspecting every request that comes through those resources. Again, if you have 100 different load balancers with a single API call, you can associate all of them to that WebACL. If you want different set of rule sets, what you do is you have different WebACLs. You can have a WebACL 1, a flavor 1 with rules, a certain set of rules, and then you can have a WebACL 2 with a different set of rules, and they can be associated with 2 different resources. So this way we give you central manageability where you set up a WebACL one time and then you can reuse it all the time for different resources. So what we've covered so far is we learned how to search for the rules, where to find them. Second one, we looked at how to enable them. And lastly, let's also look at how to unsubscribe them, right? It's just not enough to tell you how to subscribe. But if for some reason it doesn't work for you, it's very easy to unsubscribe. And this is keeping in line with the philosophy of pay as you go. We also have to show you how you can disable one product and enable another one, because that's what choice of protections is all about. So how do you unsubscribe? So when you go back to the marketplace screen, these are the 2 products. So Trend Micro was the one that we purchased, and I'm going to pick the same one to unsubscribe as well. So you click on it. Actually, my bad. Let's go back to the previous screen. There is a Manage Your Subscriptions link here. So when you click on it, it takes you to a page which gives you a list of all the managed rules that you purchased. In this case, Fortinet's WAF 10 and Trend Micro's CMS rule. It's as easy as just clicking on Cancel Subscription, yes, cancel, and you're done. So with that, you're unsubscribed from that rule. And if I were to go and refresh the screen, the Trend Micro should have disappeared, and it has. And at this point, your billing is stopped. You won't be billed for it at that point. The best practice here, before you unsubscribe any managed rules, we ask you to disassociate it from a WebACL. For example, if you want to unsubscribe Fortinet, Fortinet is actually associated with a WebACL. So what we recommend is go disassociate that particular product very easily by editing the WebACL, clicking on the X box there, update it, and then deleting it, canceling the subscription. That's the best practice. Okay, so we've learned how to subscribe, how to enable, and how to unsubscribe. And we've also seen how these rules can be used in conjunction with your custom rules, which is extremely important as well. With that, I'm going to switch back to the presentation. We will take the questions at the end of the seminar. So for the next section, next couple of sections are pricing as well as, Andy will be taking us through pricing as well as deep diving into all the 11 products so that you understand the choice of protections that you have. Andy?
Hold on just one, oh, there we go. Okay. So you already got to see pricing very briefly during the demo that Sundar showed you. But just to reiterate, I want to be sure that it's clear for everyone how this works. So I think the first important point is that if you are a customer who's been using AWS WAF and you decide to enable one of these managed rule sets, there are no additional AWS WAF charges associated with this new feature. So the rule sets or rule groups that you would enable from a managed provider will simply count as just another rule in AWS WAF, and the normal AWS WAF charges will apply. However, the sellers do charge for their rules, and those prices, again, are available for you to see in the marketplace. And there's 2 dimensions to that pricing. So the first is what's called a rule group monthly fee. And I think in the one example that we saw on the screen, you'll see that typically these are in the order of singles or tens of dollars per month. This isn't typically hundreds or thousands of dollars. It's up to the sellers to set their price in the marketplace, and that's part of your choice. You can go and compare and think about which rule set you're interested in and how much it costs. But there is this kind of monthly rule fee. Then the second dimension is a request fee that's based on sort of per million requests that are served or that are processed from or through your protected resources. Now, importantly, these, again, since this is a pay-as-you-go model, both of these are charged on a per-hour basis. So again, you could enable a managed rule set, try it out for a day, and then decide you don't want to use it. And you would only be charged essentially for that day, both on the rule fee, but also for however many requests came through that rule set while you had it active. Again, sellers set their own prices. The best thing to do is to go into the marketplace and kind of look at the different ones, and you'll get a good sense of how much they cost. But as partners looked at setting their prices in the marketplace, and we looked at what they were setting, we think that you're going to find that the overall cost of ownership of AWS WAF plus these managed rule sets is very reasonable. And again, these charges, these seller charges, are in addition to just your normal AWS WAF charges. So let's talk a little bit more about those 11 new products. You've kind of seen them scroll past on the screen a few times during the demo, both on the AWS Marketplace page, but also in the WAF console. But again, we have 5 sellers. If we look at the first seller that we'll look at is Fortinet. They're offering 4 different rule sets. And you can see some of the breadth already just in the Fortinet's offerings, right? You get rule sets that will protect you against SQL injection and cross-site scripting. Another rule set that's focused on bad bots. Another one that's kind of a set of general protections and protections against known exploits that exist. And another one focused on kind of the OWASP top 10, right? These are ones that, probably if you're running a web application and you have your own customers, and especially if they're B2B type customers, they'll probably ask you, do you have, firewall protections for your application? Are you protected against the OWASP top 10? Now, you can click with a few clicks of the mouse, you can say, yes, I do. Imperva is offering 2 rule sets. One of them is an IP reputation list. So they're taking all of their knowledge about bad actors out on the internet and compiling that into a rule set that helps you basically filter out requests from IPs of low reputation. They're also offering protections for customers who are using a content management system, WordPress. And so if you have a WordPress site, you have the option of enabling this rule set, gaining those protections. And again, as we walk through these, it's important to remember that these rule sets are not static. Right? So if it says something like IP reputation list or WordPress protections, these are WordPress protections updated as of today. So Trend Micro, what are they offering? They have a set of rules focused on customers who are running web applications using Nginx or Apache web servers. And another set of protections that's maybe a little more general for customers who are using CMS, content management systems. In this case, some rules that could protect against WordPress attacks or perhaps Joomla or Drupal, etc. Trustwave is also offering 2 rule sets in the marketplace. One of them focused on mod security, virtual patching. So the idea being that a new vulnerability is discovered. You maybe don't have time to update all of your systems right away. If you use this rule set, you may be able to get a virtual patch for that security flaw until you get a chance to update your systems. And then they also offer some virtual patches, some capabilities for folks who are using content management systems. Alert Logic has chosen to focus initially on providing virtual patching for WordPress. And as you can see here, kind of their intent is to say, we're going to really focus on kind of the last 6 months of critical vulnerabilities that have been discovered. And we're going to provide virtual patching for that so that you have plenty of time to get updated to the latest WordPress versions that address these vulnerabilities that have been discovered. So again, push a button and you're protected. So with that, I'd like to hand it back off to Sundar again to kind of take us through the end of this session. He's going to kind of recap some of the benefits of using managed rules with AWS WAF and help close things out. So thank you, Sundar.
Thank you, Andy. Again, just revisiting some of the benefits. So these are things that we've heard from the customers. And one of the things that we heard constantly is the need for pre-configured protections. And we kind of had a stopgap solutions for several months now, where we provided pre-configured templates. There were two of them. There was one for common protections. This was a CloudFormation template that you could deploy and get protections through honeypot URLs for botnets. You could get protections such as IP blacklists from several sources, and a few others. We also recently released a white paper on how you can protect yourself against the OAuth top 10, and also provided some sample rules. So these were all available through CloudFormation templates, but it still didn't address the managed rules side of things. So with this launch, I think we're happy with, along with those 5 really solid benefits, we will be flipping the pre-configured templates to managed rules. So I think now with these key benefits, I think we have a very compelling solution, an end-to-end managed, fully managed solutions for you. I hope you all are as excited as we are. We had an incredible journey working with all of these partners. So this was, we've worked with them both on the engineering level, business side of things, as well as the marketing side of things, in close collaboration with these sellers. It was a fun journey for us. We will continue to work with some of the other big brands. So stay tuned, keep yourself updated. We'll have more products and more sellers coming our way. Go to action. If you want to learn more, we will share this link with you. This video presentation will be on YouTube as well in a few days. Take a look at the landing page. Read more about the solutions and rules that we have launched with our sellers. And we'd love to hear your feedback and start using them and feel protected. So thank you so much to everyone. I know this is one of the last few sessions for the day. We don't want to be standing between you and DJ Snake, I believe, who's coming to replace. So enjoy your time, and thank you once again for joining us. And I know there are several Q&As, questions coming our way. So we will end the presentation right now. Andy and myself will be off stage. So please stop by, and we'd be happy to take any questions. But thanks again.